Welcome back to The Unleashing. I'm your host, Jared Beeler. It has been a few weeks since I made a video, and I'm kind of forcing myself to do this. The reason why is I've been watching the events trying to unfold, and nothing's unfolding. It's just staying stationary in so many ways. And I've been looking for something that I can do an analysis on, talk to you guys about it, and there really isn't anything. And this is probably going to be a fast video. I do have a few things I'm going to talk about, but really what's going on is it looks like it's another bait and switch. I mean, the peace deal, they're talking it's not even going to be in 2019 now, and this was like a guarantee. Stuff just keeps getting pushed back, and I've been watching everything, seeing if I could get any sort of movement, a direction, anything where I can get a lockdown. You guys know what I've done in breaking down tribulation and stuff like that from Revelation. And I'm looking for events, things that would give me a go to say, okay, it's this year, it's the next year, or something along those lines. And every single thing that I'm looking at, which we could call bobbers, are all placed out there, and I'm watching all of them, and none of them are moving. And there's multiple different ones. If I got any sort of information on when they planned on attacking, bringing down the YouTube or anything like that, or any sort of the vaccination where they're going to start killing people that would fall into pestilence or anything like that. If you could get 1 year where it was a guaranteed lockdown of when they're going to do it, you'd be able to say, okay, this year that it starts, these are going to be part of the first seals that take place. I just listened to an economic expert right before I started talking, and he's given his estimate that 2021 by the latest, but he thinks it's around the bend in 2020. This economic collapse is going to be worldwide. It's going to fall into the third horseman or the third seals, and it's going to be the start of the tribulation. Boom, a lockdown. Yet no lockdown on anything. Every single thing that I'm looking at is still up in the air. There is no guarantee on any of it. The planet system, Nibiru or whatever you want to call it, back in the 50s, late 50s, when they were discussing, they were looking on camera through infrared and stuff like that, and they said it's going to be a problem in 50 years. The guy's telling the truth. The time's up. It's time for it to get here. But when it comes to any scientists are giving an exact date on the year that's going to show up, if they would say that, I could say, okay, this starts at 6 months. We could find out that. 2 year marks the fifth trumpet blasting. A year and a half before that, we come into a fall area, which I'd be looking at for when the tribulation starts. Okay, this is the year that it starts. Anything along those lines, anything at all, and I'm watching tons of different things. Nothing. Every single thing is just inside the fog. And I can't get a lockdown or anything, and therefore I can't give really any sort of information on when this is going to happen. Could it still happen this year? Are we in that window right now for the tribulation to start? Yes. Right now, from around the 20th September, the numbers line up good, and we don't have an exact lockdown on when the numbers from Daniel, the exactly 2,550 days would end on what day it's going to do it. Is it going to end exactly on Feast of Trumpets? Will Feast of Trumpets be a part of when it's celebrated, but actually ends on Atonement or possibly Tabernacles of 2026 if it was going to start this year? That's unknown as well. So it lies in like a 30-day window that we can look at right now. Do I think it's going to happen this year? I'm going to be honest, I don't. The way that it's looking right now, I don't. I think that it's been pushed back. Have I ever wanted to be more wrong in my life? No, I never have. I can't think of anything that I'd rather be more wrong about than the timing of the rapture. If I think it's further off and it comes now, that is something that I would love to be wrong about. But personally, I don't know. I will tell you guys this. On the 13th this month, when I was at work, it was just after lunch, and I was painting a tire. Or not a tire, but a wheel, and I was bent down. I had my earplugs in, and I was by myself. I heard in my spirit, it was very subtle and quiet, but I was told, almost time, and it was from God. And this is the only other time that I've heard of him talk about a timeline of when he's going to be showing up. The last time was back in August of 2017, and I was in my room. It was about 5:30 a.m. I was half in sleep and half out, and the sun just kind of came up over the mountains, shining the room. The whole room goes glowing, And Jesus said, soon. That's all he said. I thanked him on the spot because it's always great to hear from him. And I told him that I really appreciated him giving his time like that. And at the same time, I dreaded it a little bit because we were so close to 2017 Feast of Trumpets, a time that I was looking at that time for it to happen. I was like, oh no, why would he be telling me soon, a month out? I'm sure if it was about to happen that he wouldn't need to say anything at all. This would just be taking place. So I was a little bit dreaded, and of course nothing happened. So 2 years from that time to this time, I now get on the 13th, just after lunch this month, almost time. That's what I'm told. And I waited real fast to see. I checked everything, and it wasn't the normal approach. All the noises and stuff that you hear going on in the world, when God talks to you, it's just like they just bow and step out of the way. It just parts. And when God talks, everything in your mind goes quiet. It's like great. Even for just a split second, you're not thinking about any problems, you're not thinking about anything. Nothing is there. It just gets out of the way. And it's not like something in meditation where it gets pushed back and stuff will come rushing in. Everything goes, it just parts out of the way. God says what he has to say real fast, and then mind and ideas and stuff start coming back, and your brain's making all the chatter that it usually does. And it was just like that, like it usually is. And he said almost time. The first thing that comes to my mind is just like in 2017. It's not going to happen this year. That's the first thing that came. Because like I say, if it's going to get that close, there's really no reason to say anything. It's just about to go down, and let's just do this thing. But I put it into a little formula of my own. If soon is 2 years from that point to now, then almost time, I wouldn't say is further than 2 years. I'd say it's 1 year in a type of calculation. So it's 1 year from that time, which would put it next year. It's just a little calculation. I don't know if it's right or not, but in my spirit, it feels like it's right. I feel like it's a marker. So it means 2 years, and almost time is a reference for 1 year. That's just personally what I believe. So if that helps anybody, anything, that's just what I got. That's the only thing that I've got on it. Could it still mean that it's this year? Yeah, and boy, do I hope that it is. But as of right now, that's all that I have. Like I say, I'm looking at everything and any sort of possibility, anything that would pop out, any sort of when they're going to cause this attack, when they're going to drop the economy, when war is going to happen. And as all I see is the buildup and no definitive time. Nobody seems to have a time on anything. I don't even think they have a time. They follow the rules from Satan. Stuff gets pushed out, and they're constantly working towards it. We see what the Pope is working, the false prophet is working on his one world religion. It's pushing forward like it is and everything as well. But nothing has gone into the agreement that it's going to, the peace deal, the temple, any of that stuff. I did hear something interesting about Netanyahu and prophecy from Rabbi Kaduri. If you guys don't know who that is, it was a rabbi that was into some Kabbalism and stuff like that. That's nothing that I endorse, but back in, it was like 2007 or whatever else, 2006, he said that he had been speaking with the Messiah. And he has all kinds of books and stuff like that for all the Jewish people, and a lot of them study it in their colleges and different things like that. They're into all the Pharisaical stuff of the whole thing. Well, anyways, he dies, and he has a paper and he says, open it up in a year. And when they open it up, the name of the Messiah is in there that he said that he'd been talking to, and it was Yeshua HaMashiach, it was Jesus Christ. And they're all like, oh, this can't be right, this can't be right. And they don't know what to do because they have been listening to him for years, that he's really renowned, and either they have to ignore that or throw stuff away or whatever that he's doing. But he found Jesus. He realized that he did. So when it comes to his prophecies, you know what? If he was in something for a while and towards the end of his life he came out of it, I think it gives it more credit. So anyways, he said that Ariel Sharon or whatever, the Messiah would come shortly after he passed away. Ariel Sharon tried to divide Israel or give it up. He goes into a coma for 7 years, and in 2014, in January, he died. One of the first years when I really started thinking this thing was going to go down, so it was like something like, oh, this could happen. But it hasn't happened yet. Another thing that he said, and this is why I'm bringing this point up and all that back talk there is for, is that the Messiah would come, he said, when when Israel would have a leader or an election or whatever, but there wouldn't be any government, which is what we see taking place right now. I heard that the other day, and I thought it was kind of interesting. So, it's kind of the direction it's going right now, but we'll see what happens and stuff like that. But like I say, number of things that made it look like this is going to happen this year, and a lot of them are just dying out. And that's how it's been in the years past too. Like I said, I don't even think they know when they have it planned, which is why you'll hear things like this guy I heard the other day that's dead or whatever. But he was talking about them rounding up YouTubers and stuff like that, and he had the documents for it and their plan and how they were still working on getting all the numbers, and there's about 100,000 of them they want to kill and everything like that. And it was set for a time, but he still wasn't sure. It was either 2020, 2021. Yet again, no lockdown. If it would have been definite this year or 2020 thing, we could say, okay, tribulation starts this year. This is the year that we're looking for. And it just isn't anything like that. There is one thing, though, that I want to point out. If this timeline, and we don't know, is going by a Jewish timeline, the 360-day year, 73 years, which we're past the 70 years since Israel became a nation, so we're up and around the 73 now. If you count up their years, which is 360 days compared to our 365, they're 5 days less, and 73 years brings those 5 days less to a complete year. At the point we are now. So if we're going to look at this going all the way to what would be 2028, I just want to point out, if this is going by a Jewish timeline, we're actually a year ahead than what we know, and it would be more like 2027, which would give it some credit that if it is going to go by that, of course we don't know, that's still up in the air too, that this takes place next year in 2020, and that's when everything goes down, which is kind of the direction it's looking right now. Everything's getting prepped for it. It was getting prepped so much, I'm surprised that nothing took place this year. But if it keeps going like this and follows through one more winter, the war prepping and everything else and what's taking place, I'd say, yeah, it goes down next year. But as of right now, we just don't know. And like I say, this could still take place in the next week or so or anything like that. I just don't know. I watch everything. I see all the stuff taking place. I'm always watching the news. Not just the news, but all the different events and stuff like that. I'm calculating everything, throwing it in my own formulas. Anything like that I'd talk and do an analysis on, give you guys some hope or tell you what I think's going on or what's up and stuff like that. And really, it's really been kind of dead right now. It's been very quiet, except for on the 13th, like I said, when he said almost time, which I'm grateful for, because it's getting very close, and that's awesome. And it's going to change everything, and I can't wait. But I'm sure somebody's going to ask if I've heard about the lady that said that she wanted to see 50 years old. And what's my analysis on that? And I'm going to be honest in the most sincere way that I can. She's telling the truth. What do we make of that? I'm not sure just yet. But what about the ladies, the chicks who were saying it was July 17th? No, that was totally crap. The whole thing was off, and I listened to one for a few seconds, but there was a problem inside her mind when I was looking into her. She said a couple things, and she had no idea for it, but she literally thought, well, it'll all just work out. And it's like, you can't build the return of God off of, oh, it'll just work out. They didn't even have anything sound there. And I knew instantly right there it was totally whack, and you can't pick the dates like that. You just can't. Not for the return or for the rapture. So I knew that thing was out the window right from the start. What about this lady? It's being sincere. And she says that she was told growing up and at different times that she wanted to see 50 years old. And recently that God had a present for her, and it was alluding to the rapture at the end of this month, which just happens to be on Feast of Trumpets, so she was going to be 50 years old. I've listened to it, and she's not lying. She's not telling the truth. She's being 100% sincere, all right, from her, at least from her point of view. Does that mean it's going to happen? This gets into something tricky with people hearing from God, or when they think that they're hearing from God. There's been a few times I heard something back in 2017. It was before the September or the Revelation 12 sign. I was driving up the hill and I was bummed out. I mean, you're just getting attacked all the time. If you're talking about God and stuff like that, or the nearness of it. I mean, I was getting hit hard, and I was going up the road, and God asked me something, and what the heck, he asked me. or what I thought about that, and I'm like, I don't know, and I said, but I believe that you're going to come back, but these people they're coming on so strong and stuff like that. And he asked me if that was going to stop me, and I said no, it's not. And then he told me something right there, and I wasn't doing too good at the moment, right? He told me something that was so legendary, I just absolutely couldn't believe it. Drives the tears up instantly. I go into a mode of joy, and I'm just like, wow, wow, talk about telling me what I want to hear. That was amazing. This is so spectacular that I've never told you guys before, because it could borderline with something that maybe I want. And in that case, I think it's better safe to not say that, because if it turns out no harm lost, I thought that I heard it. It seemed legit, but not, and nothing. I'm not going to say that this happened and then it doesn't. You see what I'm saying? Whereas other things where I know it's him and it's not something out of arrogance or where it would boast me up, yeah, I'm happy to tell you, like what I heard the other day on the 13th, and him saying almost time. So I've never said anything about that, and I won't. I'll wait and see what happens. Man, I hope it's true or whatever. But if it's not, then it's no harm. I didn't lead anybody astray or anything like that. I'm being sincere about it, if you know what I'm saying. So with this person saying that they're not going to turn 50 or whatever they're told, they're being sincere, but it's kind of like that situation. It might be something that she just wanted to hear or something like that. She's not lying. She believes it, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. And it also could mean something else. Maybe she passes away before the end of the month. I mean, there's no way. Now, if it turns out to be real and we do go open the rapture before the end of the month, hey, that's awesome. Do I see that happening the way things are right now? I personally don't. I wish that I could. But like I say, that's why I haven't made a video in a couple weeks, because I've really been watching, waiting for anything to break out and be like, okay, here we go, we can talk about this. There's lots of stuff happening, but there's no definitive start line of it. And for that reason, I can't give a lockdown of exactly when this is going to take place. And believe me, I'm trying. If I feel like if I can, then I could be like, okay, hit the afterburners, guys, on your witnessing and stuff like that, And I might not ever even get that chance, but I do keep a close eye on everything and what's taking place. And so far, it just hasn't. It's just been really calm. And I don't know. And that might mean that we go in. Another thing is, if you were told it's not till next year, you could drop your guard, start living like sin and doing the wrong thing, and it would put you in the bad spot, and we're always to be ready. So that's another thing on why. But we're always to be looking up and stuff like that, and it really is going to happen. It really is getting close, and all the events are there, and everybody is in play that needs to be there is there, and everything's taking place in Israel the way that it should, and the Gog and Magog stuff is right at the door, and people are prepping for war. The economy is going to crash. They're planning on doing it. They're planning on America's destruction. They're working on that right now. I mean, everything is in play. There's enough stuff in play that it literally could take place. Yeah, this year, this week, even, and the whole thing could kick off. And that would be, for those getting raptured, that'd be spectacular. For the rest of the world, that'd be living hell. But right now, at this point, I don't know, and that's me being sincere. And I'd say that I'd push it back. I'm pushing it back another year, and we'll see how it goes from there. Man, I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But as of right now, that's just kind of the way that it looks, and I'm sure you guys have been waiting to hear something from me, and that's what I have on it, right? And I mean, I'm watching everything, and like I said, the lady, she doesn't have an agenda. She's being sincere from her heart that God told her that, and maybe she heard it wrong. Maybe there's something else. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just something she felt growing up, and she put it with God. It's hard to say, but in her spirit, when I look inside, she's not lying, or she has no agenda to be leading anybody astray or anything like that. She's being 100% honest. So I'm like I say, just because that she's being honest doesn't always mean that it works out that way too. Like I say, there's some times where we want something so bad that we might hear something or put something in ourselves that we think it's from God, and it might not be. Just to be honest, and for that reason, I'm trying to make really, really sure before I talk about something or say that I've heard from God. And it's always incredible when it does. And like I say, what you can do is you test it. And if it starts to back up, if it starts to reveal itself even more, you know that it is, and it will continue to. 2018, things that I heard, when God created the universe, he folded time out from the middle and went both directions. Legendary, it's only proven itself more and more as it's looked into it. The second thing, flat earthers were under a curse. I went back and looked at it on Rob Skibbon, all those guys like that I saw some spiritual blanket over their heads that looked like a little cloud. Then I find out they're into replacement theology and they absolutely hate the Jews and stuff like that. Something very dangerous that you can learn about in Romans 11 if you read that chapter, and how dangerous it is, and you can literally get plucked right out of the tree that you're rooted into or grafted into. Very dangerous. And I believe that's a lot of the reason. It's killing two birds with one stone, why Satan's allowing that. And it's something that I can actually make a video about, literally. I've talked about it plenty of times. The hating of the Jews and everything like that, and how dangerous it is. And what would be the sole purpose of leading people like that? Well, it plays a double part. Not only do you get to play the world hating on them, which is what Satan wants, but it covers for all the other bad guys that are doing stuff anyways. So when you're watching Israel and all this other stuff, and people that don't have a clue about scripture or anything like that are blaming everything on them, they're also screwing themselves up by hating the Jews and possibly getting degrafted out of the tree. And next thing you know, you'll find out when you'll start believing in false doctrines and things like that that'll get you left behind. All of a sudden, you're a post-tribal believer, or you're a flat earther, and you just look like a complete moron for believing that stuff. And it's very dangerous. Like I say, it kills two birds with one stone. So a lot of stuff taking place though right now, and but no definitive lockdown on anything. And I've tried. I've literally tried. I've looked at every single possible way. You guys have no idea how many bobbers I have out there that I'm watching. Just a little ripple on one side can say, we have a lockdown. Absolutely nothing. Everything is still in the air. And even the people that are specialists in their area, whether it's economy, war, or anything else, it's still up in the air for them. They can't get a lockdown or anything like that. So until I know anymore, there's really nothing that I can say on that. But we always look up. We always pray. We still continue to witness, and we don't give up because we know it is coming soon. So don't lose any hope, all right? He told me it's almost time, and he means it. He's not making that up. He's 100% truthful. And keep paying attention, keep looking up, repent when you mess up, and keep on keeping the fight. It's not an automatic feet up. As a Christian, you're a manual, and you're always shifting and adjusting the situation and assessing everything that's going on. So keep looking up and pay attention, and hopefully this gave you guys a few answers or anything like that, especially if you've wondered where I've been at. I haven't left. I've been watching everything, and I will continue to, and if anything pops up, I'll talk about it for sure. But this is all I got for right now, and hope it helps. God bless. I'll catch you guys next time on the Unleashing, or I'm going to see you guys in the air very soon, and hopefully that's what it is. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.